Bill Gates said, "I will always choose a lazy person to do a difficult job, because a lazy person will find an easy way to do it." So tell me, what's a real-life example of this? Story number 1. I worked as a laborer at a nursery one time. Daily tasks included manually watering 15,000 plants each day, put together a back-of-the-napkin plan to build an irrigation system, and spent the next few weeks building it out with some money from the boss. The system is still running 15 years later and does all the work now. I did automate myself out of the job and had to find another one eventually. Couple years later, got my engineering degree. I'm convinced engineers are inherently lazy people that will spend a disproportionate amount of effort to make things easier. Story number 2. My brother-in-law spent a whole summer trying to figure out how to fix his sagging deck at the lake, which he could in theory crawl under and jack it up. It would have been a tunneling project since it's a 60 by 60 area all along with 2 by 6 boards. Yeah, massive. I sat there long enough with enough beers in me just to come up with the idea of just cutting a square out of the sagging area, about 3 feet by 3 feet, jacking it up, then re-screwing down the boards. He paints the thing every spring with a roller anyhow, so it's not like the square cut shows up. Story number 3. I was a paid intern at a large company during one summer back from college. My work 95% of the time consisted of using SAP. Import to Excel, clean data, and generate reports. Occasionally create some tool that somebody needed. In the first 2 weeks after getting a hang of my responsibilities, writing all the Excel formulas needed, etc., and basically automating 99% of my work, I was chillin'. I went from actually working from 9 to 5 to maybe working 1 hour tops a day. Finding, importing, cleaning, and reporting usually took hours, but with all the formulas, it took 2 minutes of clicking. I then helped the other cool intern get his crap set up so we could both just chill. We could take 2-hour lunches, paid for by the company, of course. Nobody said anything, because we were just getting so much more done than the others. Of course, I helped for special tasks when asked, but those were simple 20-minute tasks, building something in Excel. Overall, it was the easiest, stressless internship of my life. Story number 4. When I was in college, I had a job in an Italian fast food restaurant. A place with a reputation for its breadsticks. They came in frozen and needed to be thawed, so we'd take a giant 3 by 4 foot aluminum baking sheet, spread them out in a single layer with no spaces to cover it with a plastic bag. Then leave it sit in the wok overnight. The next day you'd have to get a pair of tongs and move each stick to a new tray, turning them over, then covering the new tray with the bag and let them sit on the racks for a couple hours before brushing on the garlic butter sauce. This was tedious enough that you'd usually be ready to brush the butter on the first tray as soon as you turned the last tray. I was given this task for the first time one morning and just did not want to deal with it. I realized if I put the secondary tray upside down on top of the first one, then turned it over and took the first tray out, I got exactly the same results. It absolutely blew the boss's mind when I did the 3-hour job in about 15 minutes. Guys, I was given a 5-cent raise. Yeah. Story number 5. I was once set to test a certain piece of equipment on a ship. The test involved attaching the unit to a reader, then run loads of command line prompts. Then, one would have to make a copy of all the text, copy into Word, and save it as a real crappy-looking report. There was hundreds of units, and they needed to be tested several times a year. I'm talking 20 to 30 a day. It would take several weeks to finish. I didn't know coding at the time, but always wanted to learn. Within 2 months, I had made a program, even with a GUI, to spot faults with ease instead of having to actually read the reports. The program could read 3 units at a time and would automatically just create a smooth PDF report and save it on our server, named with serial numbers and date. The job was now to attach 3 units, then wait for about 3 minutes, detach and attach new ones, basically 30 seconds work, 3 minutes break. I can now test all units in a day, though I would typically spread it out over a couple more days. And when I left the company, I left the program on the test computer. I get an email from an ex-colleague a few months later, saying that they were all now using the program on several ships now. There wasn't a manual for the program, of course, but it was so straightforward it wasn't needed. Story number 6. So, I worked in a local adult education center. One of my main tasks was to make calculations about how many people enlisted for a course, how many of them got discounts, unemployment, etc., and how many men, women, age, etc., that was needed to calculate upcoming course fees. That was my only work there, and I hated it. This was in the early 90s, so computers were a thing in our office, but I had no idea how to write a program or use a database to use this information. Lucky as I am, our center had an interesting policy. When you want to educate yourself, you can attend that class for free. And when it's during the work time, then this is work time. As long as my supervisor is okay with it, and she was. So I spent 3 months, quote, studying database structures. Scripting, coding, you name it. I told my tutor what I want to do, and he helped me to write a script that grabs all necessary information from the course database. Copy that into another database, and then I went crazy and wrote code that was absolutely insane. I implemented what-if scenarios thanks to filters. At the end, I was able to do my work that needed 6 hours a day within 15 minutes. I mean, before that, it took literally an hour to have all the necessary information to have a quote, how many unemployed single-parent women does it need to make the cost of that course even? I had everything back then. Now, you want statistics, how many single parents, disabled foreign women at the age of 80 to 90 are needed for the next 2 years to keep the ornithology course running? Sure, no problem. Clickety-click, done. After that, I started the PC in the morning, grabbed all the data, ran my script, and was done within 15 minutes. And then read the book I bought from home. At the end of the day, I gave my supervisor several dozens of papers. Statistics, predictions, etc., and I said with a quote, "That was a lot of work, whew," and I went home. My supervisor was super happy with me because I did so much more now and was super effective. Story number 7. Back in high school, a lot of kids used to walk through this park to get home or to school. A portion of the path went into the woods because it was just quicker than walking through the actual trail. At one point in the walk through the woods, you had to go up this small but tedious hill. Nothing major, but it took like 10 seconds of hard work to get up to the top. You could not go around because one side was a small cliff to the creek below, and other side had a dense trees. One summer, a bunch of us got together and decided to just dig through that hill to make it a flat. It took like 14 of us 3 days to get through it. It was a hard 3 days worth of work, but it was definitely worth it. It saved like 10 seconds of hill climbing every morning and afternoon. 150 days a year. And it wasn't just us, but hundreds of other kids who took the same path every day. Sometimes you need to put in a lot of work so your future selves can enjoy the easy way out. Story number 8. I knew a guy who had a low-level data reporting job. He had several daily/weekly work responsibilities, including a bunch of reports that needed quite a bit of tweaking from raw data to finished product. But like I said, low level. We did not find out until way later, but he had set up macros for each of his major responsibilities where he could, and once set up, he just run the macros to do his work. But guys, get this. he would smartly hold off on delivering the reports until it was just a little before the deadline. He'd hit every assignment and was seen as reliable. He also would complain about the workload so people would leave him alone. I doubt he did full hours of work a day after he set up what he did. Eventually, he left the job for a better paying one, but darn did he work lazy. Also, he was smart not to reveal until the end, because had he told them about it, he would have gotten a pat on the back and would have been given a whole other workload, on top of maintaining those macros, etc. So the dude milked the job. No other way around it. Story number 9. When I was around 20, I had a part-time work student position that involved managing the websites at a small organization. One of my tasks was to complete the landing page every day with the dates, a little thing about the day, example, Happy International Women's Day, or today is Nelson Mandela's birthday, whatever, you get it, as inspirational quotes and link them to random articles from our archives. The person who'd had the task before me was editing the HTML by hand every single day. It wasn't a big task, but it was blocked out in my schedule for 8 a.m. to 8:30. Within the first week, I literally just built the most simple database script. It took about 2 hours total. And then for the whole 3 years I worked there, I had half an hour in the morning to just drink coffee, browse the internet, until the script pushed the update live automatically at 8:30. This is one tiny, innocuous example among many from my own experience, and I'm certain anyone who knows even basic computer programming and has worked in an office setting has dozens, maybe more, similar stories of their own. Story number 10. My boss put my name in for lead project group shortly after I joined the company. I had no experience whatsoever about project managing, yet he still demanded that I lead the group of 12. All way smarter people, tech background and stuff. These guys are like magicians, and with way more time at the company. I mean, I'm a business guy who's too dumb for balance sheets, and that's why I'm in HR. And because I, quote, like the field the most. So, we started the first meeting and I asked for everyone's plan, experience, and ideas. Gathered the 2 different pros and cons and cross-checked with the budget that we had, and put on a time frame with milestones to reach, around 6 months, and put in valuable people to consult at different steps along the way. Why did I do that? Because I like organizing stuff and keeping everyone on the same page and to delegate to-dos. Well, guess what? I got promoted because of the success of the project. So, I asked my boss why he put me in for it since I never have done anything like that before for him. He said because I complained in the first week that most of the work was way too wonky structured. No clear guidelines, and this could be improved heavily if we just took some time into it. And because I hated talking to others if I had to question, and I would not get a clear answer from. Example, like ask 10 people the same question and you get 15 different answers? Yeah. In the long run, this would make us way more efficient and keep everyone on the same page. All because I hated disorganized work. Story number 11. I got sent out to California on a fact-finding mission about the marijuana growing industry years ago to see if there was a market or the sorts of A&C work we could do, automation and controls. So, I set up meetings with some of the local growers and met with them, discussed their outdoor grow operations and whatnot. Their biggest complaint was having to go to the grow sites to do various tasks associated with maintaining the crop. So, I asked them, if we could provide a system that could allow you to manage these operations remotely from home, would you be interested in buying it? Every single one was like, yeah, duck yeah. If I can do it from bed while smoking a spliff, I'd be totally on board for that. That's like my dream come true. So, It turns out some of the automation that was developed for that industry was marketed to the inherent laziness of stoners who have an entrepreneurial spirit.